and then the YouTube should be all set up and ready to roll. Starting, it says.
Ooh, I got a notification.
There it is.
As with everybody who is actually a subscriber to our channel. I
Excellent.
got one on my phone and on my laptop.
Excellent. We are live, it says. The internet can totally see you now.
Oh, my God. Yes, now is when you shouldn't say really triggering type things.
So I don't know if you've heard the show before. If not, that's cool. We can run down with you real quick the sort of format
I still
that
need
we do.
To watch so I can see the comments.
Okay.
Looks like, because they're not going to show up in your player there.
No, they will not. I could make them do that if you would rather see those over there.
It might be less distracting for me to just be 6 seconds behind over here.
Okay, cool.
In all fairness.
What's up, Julie? What's up, Lori?
All's fair in
howdy, y'all.
Podcasting.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. Whoa. Sorry, just doing our stuff here. There we go. Saving. Okay, so kind of the rundown. We do all this hooting and hollering and screaming and yelling to start off with.
That's right. We can send him the show sheet or no?
We haven't, but if you've got a email
it's
address,
not long. We don't have a complicated show sheet, so it really doesn't catch very many people off guard.
Yeah. So we just
three notes: press, record, talk, end. There
just
we go.
About.
Pretty much. The only thing we have, and I don't want to give it away, totally away. We'll just surprise you with it. It's not a big deal.
No, it's
it'll
cool.
be right after the intros. We'll bring you on. You'll say a couple words, and then you'll pause, and then we'll do some stuff.
Yep. I got it right there. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, when we play our intro music, which is Sydney Lett's country music song, "We Are NASCAR," you will stop hearing us. But the connection
not on Skype. He'll be.
Oh, he'll be able to hear it.
Yep.
Okay,
Skype
sweet. Never mind. Sorry. We actually don't get to use Skype very much.
Yeah,
as it turns out.
Tell me, can you hear that song playing right now? Can you still hear me?
No.
Oh, bummer. Okay. Well, can you hear me? Did you hear me or no? Right then.
I do now.
Oh, you do now. Okay. Well, maybe we will lose you. I don't know. It's sporadic. It's weird. Some people hear us, some people don't.
Some knob over there that misbehaves.
Yeah, one of these things. I've got this mixer, but I only know like 3 buttons on it. So. Anyway, so we'll go through. We start with a segment we call "What You Drinking," just to, I guess, break the ice there. So if you have something adult in mind, or if you don't, that's cool. That's our water is the most common thing there, but our fans demand it of us. We'll go through. We're on episode number 111, so we talk about the car number that associates
the
with
winningest car in NASCAR.
Yeah. Number 11, and then we'll talk about last week's race. We'll go through some questions that the PETM posse, as we call them, sent out to us. Got some shout outs that Sherwin did. Then we call it gassing it up. We'll go in and talk about next week's race or this coming week's race. Anything else that's going on, and then. We have a crazy question out there, as usual. Always appreciate any stories and stuff. You got any crazy stories you can think of that are off the top of your head? Anything crazy you done?
I mean, there's some people that come on the show I could never dare to top, but I might be able to make something up and see if I can make it work.
Cool. Yeah, and then we'll close it out after that. It sounds like a short show, but we always get off the rails and go crazy and whatnot. So you know how it is.
We haven't struggled to get to an hour in a very long time.
No, we haven't. So, do you have a hard stop tonight? Time that we need to let you go?
Whenever the show is done, take your time.
All right. My favorite answer. So yeah, whether you've stepped in it now.
Yeah, you're officially in the ditch.
Yeah.
Hope you wore clothes you don't mind getting dirty.
That's right.
I think that's everything I ever
wore. Okay, let's see here. Always lots to talk about. That's for sure, Lori. Lori was in one of the trucks that was doing pace laps with the drivers in the back seat, or in the bed rather. That was
really?
Yeah. She got the hookup for that. So, yeah. Welcome, Lori. Ashley
that's
Stang.
cool.
What up, Ashley? And Julie Bosley. Oh yeah, those are sick. Digging it.
Nice.
I love it.
These are my official eye sensitivity to light. Don't want to look like an idiot glasses right here.
Perfect.
Sounds like perfect last week,
Oh,
really,
man.
when you think about it.
Let's see. So, with that, Sherwin, are you ready to go?
Yep. All I need to do is put the link on Instagram,
Okay.
and then I'm ready to go.
Oh, let me. Did you put it on Twitter at all?
I thought it
Me?
auto did Twitter,
Yep.
but maybe it doesn't.
I think I usually mash the button, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'll mash the button real quick and make sure it gets on Twitter. And it always puts the last episode name up there. No, don't add that to LastPass. Come on.
Oh, you know what? Rogan's does that too, so don't feel bad. He only has 10 million listeners.
Yeah. That's funny. Join now! Exclamation point! Yay! And all that. Okay, Lori had the Bristol VIP experience and watched from the Chevy suite. That's BA. That's super cool. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Sherwin, you tell me when you're done.
Right now.
Right now, he says. So, with that, let's start. Aaron, you ready?
Throat clear.
Yeah, I was born ready, boys. Let's do it.
Born ready.
Born ready, he says.
Ready to rumble. Here goes nothing. We are recording now.
Howdy.
That's right. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 111. It's Thursday, August 24th, 2017. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm joined in the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Right over here, as always, locked and loaded.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We got a great show tonight. We're ready to roll. This is going to be a blast. I'm excited. Sherwin, you ready?
Yeah.
What you looking at?
Sorry, the Instagram thing he was doing stuff. I need to turn that phone over and just
yeah. Let's do this.
concentrating on what's happening.
Let's
in front
do
of me.
this. We got a great guest tonight. I'm excited to have him on. We're gonna roll and romp and everything else and have a lot of fun tonight with this guest. He is a NASCAR journalist for Kickin' the Tires. How about this shirt, Sherwin? Huh?
Right there.
I even wore the
blow-up
shirt.
from
That's right.
Jerry Jordan.
Yep, that's right. So NASCAR journalist for Kickin' the Tires. You can find him on the track. You can find him online at kickinthetires.net, on Twitter at Aaron Bearden 93, and out of Muncie, Indiana, it's Mr. Aaron Bearden. What's up, Aaron?
Not much, man. I just want you to know you have as many Kickin' the Tires polos as I do now, so I don't know if I'm getting proper treatment here.
That grand total of 1. I love it. So, oh, man, that's great. Yeah, what can I say, Aaron? How's it going? How are you doing? What you up to, and all that? Give the folks a little something about Aaron.
Well, let me clue you into something. Bristol Motor Speedway is known as Thunder Valley, and if that is the case, I have been thunderstruck all week. I drove back from Bristol Saturday night after the race and after doing Gluck's podcast, and I don't think I've ever caught up on sleep since, so I've just been like living off caffeine and sustenance, but yeah, I'm doing all right. Been having fun. Wrote a little thing on stage racing the other day and just kind of been hanging out, enjoying some of the off week. How about y'all?
Well, same sort of thing. Shoot, coming back from Bristol, I mean, you got to have 3 or 4 days down, Sherwin?
Definitely the mind checks out for a minute or two. I worked Monday, as I'm sure you did too, and that was a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
Just kind of staring at the clock until it turns about 4:45 and it's time to go to Taco Mac for happy hour.
Yep.
Refuel.
Yeah, no joke. Do
it again, all over again. Well, Aaron, we always start the show off the same way. Tell the PTM posse what you're drinking tonight.
Well, I'm going to be kind of boring compared to some people y'all have had on probably, but I do have more than water. I like to kind of mix and match, so I keep a couple things by me at all times. We got a cherry Coke in case I need sugar.
Nice.
I still have a couple sips on my morning coffee because this is the craziest thermos I've ever had, and it keeps things warm for like a day.
That is pretty crazy.
I try to drink one of these every day. I figure that's enough water for me.
The hydro right there. Man, that's triple fisting.
Yeah.
That's big
Nothing
time.
alcoholic, but I go big when what I do drink.
There you go. Sherwin, what do you bring for us tonight? Holy cow, talk about we're
All
making up
kinds
for
of stuff.
anything else. Jeez, this is the whole bar here as usual.
I brought because we got an off week really, and everybody's had Wisconsin beer because they have great distribution. So I thought I would showcase something from out west. Uinta Brewing Company, that's in Utah, the great state of Utah. And this is called the Brett Sealegs Baltic Porter. It's 8.2% alcohol. It smells amazing. Clearly, it's been aged in something. I don't know.
It's aged in something.
Continuing the out west theme, my sister lives in Colorado and is getting married in Colorado in just over a month. So we've got the actually, no, this is Kentucky.
Oh, well.
I didn't realize.
You're all over the place.
I thought Eagle Rare was Colorado. Anyway, whatever.
So be it.
Get the Eagle Rare.
All right.
Single barrel.
And here I am, still on a from last week on our trip through Asheville. Got the Perfect Day IPA from Asheville Brewing Company. So we'll get through that. We'll get through the rest of this, and then we'll be floored, as it always
Into
is.
this show might be a little crazy.
Yeah. So it's Sherwin. It's episode 111. That means we need to talk about driver number 11. And boy, Aaron, you got something to say about number 11, I'm sure, huh?
Yeah, it seems like everybody who's ever won in NASCAR has driven the number 11, except for a guy named Earnhardt and a dude named Petty. When you go back through the annals, you know Hamlin, but there's Elliott, there's Waltrip, Yarborough. I think my original memory is Ned Jarrett, looking back when I was first learning the history, but I guess Junior Johnson drove it even. So all kinds of great names have driven that car. It's won a race or two.
I'll tell you what. I can't do them all in one breath, but I'll try. Denny Hamlin with 30 wins, Ned Jarrett 49 wins, Cale Yarborough 55 wins, Darrell Waltrip 43 wins. That right there is like 200-something wins almost.
Yep.
And then we still got Junior Johnson 11 wins, Bill Elliott with 6 wins in the 11, Terry Labonte 4 wins, Jeff Bodine 4 wins, Buddy Baker 2 wins. These are huge names, dude. Bobby Allison 3 wins. A.J. Foyt's got a win in this car. Mario Andretti's got a win. Parnelli Jones has a win in the number 11.
Excuse me, sir.
I mean, why not? And
Rufus.
And even people who didn't win. Listen to these names. Brett Bodine, 259 races in the number 11. Fireball Roberts, 22 races. Jason Leffler, hats off to Jason, 19 races. Tim Flock, who we've talked about on the podcast and stayed in, I think in
Flocks
Darlington.
have driven everything.
Yeah, 5 races in that. Unbelievable to me, the name. I mean, this is a who's who list. You ain't nobody unless you've driven that number 11, minus the folks that Aaron has already mentioned.
All-star car.
Yeah.
For sure.
So that's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So number 11.
They're approaching 300, right? Or did Denny get their 300th when he won at New Hampshire?
You got me.
Yeah, it's up there, getting real damn close.
So
let's check.
Let's check.
Yeah,
he's hitting the online. He's doing the thing.
All
I'm
right.
digging.
Sometimes this happens during the podcast,
Right.
Y'all just,
Right.
have a sip. We're all having
Let's
a sip.
Let's see. I got to it real quick. Thanks to the internet. Racing Reference says we're up to 210 right now.
Oh, 210. Okay,
Okay.
so I was way off. Samsonite.
That'll happen. Well, with that, let's just go ahead and start tearing it down here.
Yeah, might as well.
Right. Tearing it down. Dude, Bristol. We went to Bristol. Holy cow. Aaron, you were at Bristol, right?
Yes, I was. Like I said, I ain't recovered yet.
Yeah. That's the fun part.
That's the running joke.
And you were on Gluck's podcast afterwards. How'd that go?
I was actually kind of surprised with myself. I hadn't done a podcast in probably 2 years. This dude comes up to me in the press box for the race. He's like, yeah, you ain't done the podcast yet, have you? I'm like, no. He asked me, so you want to? I was like, sure. I should be excited. In my head, I'm actually thinking, well, now instead of 9, it's going to be 10:30 in the morning that I get home. But
oh goodness!
It was a lot of fun. He's looked out for me a lot in the last year or two, and I appreciate him. And I think I did all right. I mean, y'all weren't too scared to have me on, so I couldn't have done too horrible, right?
That's right. No kidding.
No, you did fine, man. Yeah, don't tear yourself down too much.
No, it's fun stuff.
By the end of this thing, you'll probably be ready to go cry on a pillow.
So we roll up. So here's my favorite part. All right. So Julie Bosley and Mike Bosley once again, and let me before I say
always be shouted out on this show.
I know it. Let me say this. I know Julie doesn't necessarily like the attention, so I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to drop stuff and all that. But I will say that Julie made this race happen for probably 10 people by herself, Sherwin.
Oh, without a doubt.
Us included. Other people that we heard of that I wasn't going to come, and then I was talking with Julia and blah blah, and not that she's going to give every person on earth a ticket. She does, she just doesn't have that hookup. But the people who are in the close-knit group and all that, it was unbelievable. All these different people we were talking to that said, yeah, I got the hookup from Julie Bosley. Do y'all know her? We're like, we're staying at her campground next to her. It's crazy.
It's like, what?
So she had us staying next to her, and her and Mike are so awesome. It's so much fun up there. And I'll tell you what was fun, what was funny to me, I'll say. So what happened was they say, hey, yeah, we got this spot next to us. It's in the RV lot. And Sherwin calls up and asks, what do we have to? What's the minimum viable equipment necessary in order to camp at this spot? Like, we've got tents, and they're like, no tents. All right, how about the crappiest pop-up on earth? Is that okay? They're like, yeah, you can bring them as long as you're hauling it. You can stay in it. So next to, I think Mike Helton is on this row somewhere. I think it's along the drag strip. It's the nicest. It's got hookups. It's got drainage, water, all the stuff, and. Next to the $1 million campers, next to the $250,000 camper.
Definitely seven-figure campers on this road.
Oh yeah. And so here we roll up in the no, it wasn't the worst one. It wasn't the worst possible pop-up.
It didn't really look that bad.
It's a pop-up.
But we were maybe one of the only pop-ups on the whole road.
We were definitely outclassed by a bunch, and it was the nicest thing we've ever stayed in.
Right, by miles, because it had a plug.
Oh yeah,
some go-go juice.
Oh yeah, and it had
an air conditioner.
Holy crap! So yeah, we were highfalutin, high stepping at that point. It was wild.
Tall cotton is what we say.
Tall cotton.
We were cotton.
We were living in tall cotton at Bristol.
And it was funny. Here's the other funny part. So I don't haul a trailer very often, right? And so I'm coming back to my house. We got a carport. Carport is 2 vehicles wide, and then there's the supports that hold the carport up. So you got to be pretty, precision here.
And they're aluminum.
And aluminum. And I got to back this thing into my driveway, and I'm telling you, I was surgical. First time, every time, pulled that thing in, moved it around, perfect, backed it in, unhooked it, put my truck right next to it. I'm talking about money.
There's a reason why this is funny.
We get up to this $1 million parking lot, and I'm jackknifing all over the freaking place.
78-point turn.
This turn is unbelievable. I get people to move their vehicles out of the way so I can do that. I'm an idiot backing this thing in.
It was pretty funny considering all things considered.
All things considered, I'm like, I'm not. Well, I'm a moron, but I'm not usually a moron. I don't know. So, that was a mess. But then the races, the Xfinity race, the Cup race, obviously Kyle Busch show. And Aaron, why don't you lead us off and give us your thoughts on how the races were, and really, what your reaction is to what we keep calling the Kyle Busch show, and the triple here that we saw.
Well, I mean, it's only fair we call it the Kyle Busch show. He kind of sort of stole the whole weekend, spent more time in victory lane than a lot of guys will spend in the next 5 years. So I think Bristol might as well rename it like the Kyle Busch Memorial Victory Lane at this point, because he's kind of been there a lot the last handful of years. But it was a good race overall, good race weekend. I thought the battles were good. I think the short tracks really bring out some of the best in the series. And I will note that overall this was actually a pretty clean weekend by Bristol standards. I didn't think that we tore up as many cars as we normally do, but the racing was good. They had really for the entire weekend pretty much 2 predominant lanes. I think the Xfinity Series was the weakest of that just because all the rain seemed like it really messed with that PJ1 compound. But overall, I thought it was a good race weekend. We saw plenty of battles. You had a kid up front battling with his old mentor and Eric Jones and Kyle Busch. He couldn't snowball derby, and Busch came out on top this time. But a great weekend, and we finally get to see Kyle Busch take a full heel turn, and that just made my heart smile a little bit. So I enjoyed it. It was Bristol, baby.
Yeah, I think I was looking forward to seeing Eric Jones win his first race.
When he was
just to say I was there for it.
On like 2 restarts there, I mean, he was gone, and it was like, whoa, we might actually see this. This would be really cool to see, especially like you said with his mentor and him being the protege, kind of coming up through at that point. I think those late cautions helped tighten him up a bit too. But I thought toward the end I was having a blast and everything. And Sherwin, Kyle Busch on the triple. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think so. If you could separate like your in the moment fandom from just looking at the sport and saying, did I see something interesting? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I did a little bit of studying after because I wanted just to have a little bit of data for the folks that are going to lob whatever insults they would because they just don't like Kyle Busch's personality, and that's fine. Because you know what? A lot of times excellence within your sport doesn't mean that you're like a nice person in that process. There's a ton of athletes that we don't like what they do on the field. Richard Sherman, famously, very good athlete, very good at his profession. In his, jacked up moment, he is absolutely a jerk. But off the field, he's extremely intelligent. He's extremely philanthropic. He does things for education. Like, he just does all the, you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a lot of that happens. So I would say I am super impressed to see him win another triple. He's the only one to do it. He's now done it twice. We're witnessing greatness, and we need to understand that. Whether we like it or not doesn't really matter.
Interesting. Yeah. Witnessing greatness for sure that we've seen. The way I put it is all bets are off once the cup race starts. If you go out there and you win Bristol Cup race, you have done something, son.
Just look at the winners. You don't accident your way into victory lane at Bristol.
No, you don't buy your way in. You don't. You don't
buy your way in. You don't accident your way in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even rain out your way in.
Right. Bristol, and Aaron said it. It's Bristol, baby.
Yeah.
So. Looking at cup race wise, I've got no problem with it. I enjoyed the race. I had fun with it. We talked about exciting down to the end. Watching it, Sherwin, me and you listened to like 10 different drivers along the way.
We kept switching when Casey bombed up his car.
Yep. So that was fun to listen to. Now, when you look at Xfinity and you look at trucks, I feel like there's a couple things that change, and that's where you can start buying your way into a top 5 car. Whether or not you're winning with that, who knows, week over week. And so getting the triple is impressive there, but I'm a little bit less impressed with the fact that he won a truck race or the fact that he won a Xfinity race. Yeah, I mean, okay, we got the triple. It feels like he kind of did the remedial work for his caliber of car and team and money, and then he did the actual real work there in the cup race. So it's I don't know. I go back and forth left and right on it. And we haven't talked about it on the podcast yet. Let's do this. Brad Keselowski pulling out of the trucks. That's pretty freaking telling,
Yeah. Well, did you read his blog?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically what he said was, in not so many words, is I'm going to be back, but the way we're doing things now doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what he said is he's very sad that this is the first time in like some crazy amount of years, nearly 30 years, that Keselowski, the name, won't be running a truck in the truck series.
Yeah.
But he said he's not gone for good. So I feel like there may be some sort of business model that's not working for him right now, and he wants to focus that money elsewhere because he's already said he's going to be doing some type of performance manufacturing that will have a dotted line to racing, but it's not going to be building race trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So he's repurposing his current building for whatever that opportunity is. He's actively seeking to place his employees at other race teams, but he's keeping a significant number of them and going to teach them to make whatever it is he's decided he's going to make.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's perhaps it would make sense now with other announcements we've seen. They're going to make bodies, these composite bodies for the Xfinity teams and the truck teams of the future, because that's the new thing. I don't know if you saw what Weaver posted today, but like one of the things he did today was they like got to tour an in-person car that's got the what do they call it? Clasp fit composite body cars that ARCA and K&N West are using. Aaron, you may know something about this, so I'll let you speak.
That's a flanged fit. I think is the correct term. Yeah, they. I haven't got to read too much on it because I'm not a big shot and I'm not in Charlotte, North Carolina today. But Yeah, they kind of got to tour it today, and the basic concept of the car, they all kind of the pieces kind of like locked together, for lack of a better term. And there's a couple things on them. One I saw we were talking about like a honeycomb pattern on some sections of the car. It's basically like a way where they'll be able to tell if teams are like trying to cheat the system and sand down the car, things like that. I saw that. And there's a couple other things they're going into with it, but the general consensus I got from it's that the whole idea is just to make like basically a spec like car that's not as expensive to replace and hold on to, for one. And for two, also, it seems like they're trying to keep the teams from being able to over-engineer them and waste all this money on shaving off hundredths of a second all the time, which they'll still probably find a way to do. But I do appreciate that they're at least making an effort to go in that direction.
Yeah, well, in the millions of hours they spend shaping bodies, because that's what 3/16 gauge steel or whatever it is spins so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that's I mean, that's great. That's one of the things that Tommy Joe coming on here and other folks coming on here talking about, the cost that it is, and so they're trying to address that a bit. I think that's a great first step. Might take a few more steps.
I'm interested to see. Yeah, I mean, obviously we need some steps in trucks. They're going to crates. We've heard read Brian Keselowski talking about on Twitter about how crate motors don't necessarily help everybody. They actually only help the teams that already have a crap load of money, because the motors themselves are very expensive, and you're not allowed to rebuild them. That's the whole thing about crate motors. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. That gets us to Ask PETM. We got some questions from the PETM posse this week. Starting off, I really like this one. Mick Rose at GoDucks42_Mick. What's up, Mick, by the way? Mick says he read a great article by Doug Alden, Sprint Car Midget Magazine, asking who is the customer at the short tracks. So it drove the question for him, who is NASCAR's customers? Is it the 18 to 35 age group, or is it like a 36 and older group? And what's funny about that question to me is I'm 35 and you're what, 37?
And I'm 36.
36. So we span that. So 18. You know what? I like being in the 18 to 35 group here for just a little while longer.
Just for another 11 months.
Yeah, Sherwin, you're old.
Damn it!
Right? As usual.
Actually, I'm not. I'll let Aaron go first. But I have some comments on this.
Yeah, go for it, Aaron.
Well, first, I'm not going to say my age now because I'm going to make you both feel bad. But
well, what? I don't know. Wait, is it like? Is it way younger? Is it way older?
16. No, I'm just kidding. 24
and a half.
24.
You know what? We talked about it. What was it? Just last podcast where I said I hate it when people blame other people for being younger.
Right. Don't call me a whippersnapper.
Just
like, because we weren't born in the same perspective doesn't matter. I mean, like, you can say yes, you have 20 years, or in this case, 12 or 11 years less experience on their surf than we do, but.
What does that equate to?
It doesn't matter. Like
he's in the media center every week.
It doesn't matter in passion of fandom.
Sure, absolutely. And one of the things I said is the only thing that you might hear me do is say something like, "Oh yeah, remember the Braves in '95?" I think I said this last podcast. Remember the Braves winning back in '95? I'm like, no, dude, I wasn't born.
Yeah,
or no, I was
born yet,
2 years old. Like, oh, oops. Yeah, that's cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, yeah. Anyway, sorry for the tangent there. That's that's how we roll here, is tangents. But no, 24 ain't nothing wrong with that, buddy.
Nah, I kind of know what y'all are talking about a little bit just because I've been watching the sport so long. I'll be talking to one of the younger peeps who, for whatever God awful reason, come up and ask me questions, and I'll be talking about IROC races from like 1998. And
yeah.
Like, what's IROC? What? And
son, you need to learn.
Yeah, y'all need to recognize. Now, when it comes to the NASCAR customer base, if that's the way we're going to do it, I think their ideal customer base would be everybody. Their current customer base is your older generation, and they're trying to pivot toward the younger generation. I mean, if you look at everything they're doing, they haven't shortened the races, to their credit. They've kept them longer, but they're splitting them up into stages. They're trying to throw things in there to kind of, I guess, keep your mind abuzz when you're watching the race. They're kind of adding opportunities during those stage breaks. You have a chance to go to the restroom or get on your phone or talk. I think that you've seen other sports do that. For example, I went to a global rallycross race in July, and there's I mean, there's breaks every 5-10 minutes there because they have a quick race. You wait a little while, they bring out the next heat, they run it. You wait a little while, they bring it, and it's like that all day. And I've seen sports like that are kind of showing potential and trying to grow. And I think NASCAR is one of many sports, and not just in motorsports, but overall, that's looked at that and saying, well, we got to speed things up. We have to make these subtle changes if we want to reach that younger demographic. And I mean, the NFL's trying to find ways to shorten play. That baseball's trying to find ways to speed things up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's everywhere. It's just part of it, and I think that's something they're going to continue to fight moving forward as the older fan base continues to, get older, and they continue to fight with getting that younger fan base to grasp on in the same respect.
I think, Sherwin, it's telling that Mick put the 18 to 35 and the 36 and older, seeing as how, again, that we are right on that teeter-totter edge of that.
I think he knows how old we are.
He might have done that just to rib on you. But I think, what was I going to say, I think, here? I think it's interesting that alongside with what Aaron said, I've told people before, if you want to watch like heat races and stuff, go to your local track and watch those. Watch these 20-lap things. Watch these outlaws or sprint cars or whatever else, modifieds, watching the late models, all that stuff. Watch those and have a blast, and you're going to have fun watching that. NASCAR is where we're going to have a endurance race, Yeah. They're not fixing to shorten up the Tour de France, That's what that race is. And so I feel like that's what that race is in a lot of ways for NASCAR, is that endurance style. Now, I think I can be convinced on the endurance season a bit that, going from February to November is, that's tough to do.
If you want to knock 10 races off that schedule, by all means.
Right. Yep. But shortening up races, the stage thing, that's a good, kind of compromise idea, I guess. I don't know. Who's the customer? I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Aaron, that they're trying to go after the younger folks. Not only with that, I mean, they've got the Monster Energy thing. I think that was a really good pull. I've been supportive of that since, they kept it as one, the worst kept secrets in NASCAR when they decided to announce that. What are some of the other, Sherwin, what are some of the other things they're doing for the young folks here?
Well, so I want to say this first because I don't know that it'll naturally segue if I start with the younger audience. So one of the things that happened this week, it was yesterday or the day before, Gluck posted something about, percentage of audience within a particular age range. Mm-hmm. And what I noticed was 50 plus, which was 2 of the 4 age ranges that were posted, was 66% of the demographic of NASCAR fans. And what I posted was what I thought not clever at all, but some really, really poignant comments about that. Of course, you always have that person that reads it the wrong way and says, oh, you're saying old people should leave NASCAR? Because I said the sport needs to get younger from a fan base perspective. Mm-hmm. And it's not that old people need to go away. Old people need to stay. Absolutely stay.
Right.
We need you. We need you because old people are the ones that have disposable income. Mm-hmm. Particularly, and so that if the average age looked like it was probably closer to 60 years old, between 55 and 60, based on what the statistics read. But a healthy sport has a median and mean age in the 40s because that's when your earning potential and power is the strongest, and you have the most influence in both in your workplace and you have more exposure to more people because you're not retired, you're not staying at home all the time, you're at work, and you're doing stuff. Your kids, if you have them, are in their teens probably, so you have a ton of exposure to a lot of things. So my point was we're not backfilling, we're not regenerating the way we should be.
Right.
So NASCAR is trying to create this younger audience, and they're doing things that piss off the old people, and it's ironic that those people don't understand that this has to happen.
Yeah.
That's the only way you have a sport. So if you're 55 years old today and you're going to listen to this podcast either live or you're going to listen on your iPhone, what you need to understand that is if you want to watch this sport when you're 75, there better be somebody that's between 15 and 25 that's signing up to watch this sport and participate.
Yeah.
Great. Otherwise, you're not going to have a sport to watch when you're 75.
Great way to put it. Yep. I'm one data point, but my grandfather always watched the race. Every Sunday he's watching the race. We're over at his house. I'm not watching the race. I'm doing something else. I wasn't a fan until way later. So to your point, people like him, at that point, I mean, I got a really young family. He was probably 55 at that point. But at that point, it's on his responsibility to make a NASCAR fan out of me, Right. And so I'm not sure that has happened. Again, I'm one data point. And I became a NASCAR fan, but that was 20 years later or 15 years later at that point.
We have a Patreon and a person or a contributor and one of my really good friends now I play golf with, I used to work for, and I've almost dragged him all the way into where he wants to pay attention every weekend for the Cup race.
Yeah.
And he's got an invested interest for a couple of different reasons because he listens to us. He gives us, a little bit to the Patreon account. Thank you very much, Eric. But his company, it participates in the consumer product world, and he sees some of those things, some of those brands show up on that car, and he's like, okay, I have all the right reasons to root for this thing, and he generally pays attention to what's happening.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have had anything to do with NASCAR if he had never known me.
Yeah, yeah. And
so I'm trying one person at a time.
That also reminds me, my apologies to the PTM posse and the patrons. I forgot to do the
I figured we'd do it
Patreon
at the end.
part. So I'll move that to the end. And so sorry about that, folks. Fast forward to the end if you want to hear your name. So next question, we'll move on. Andrew Kentsian at KHANTZIAN. Welcome to the PTM Posse, Andrew. He says, great crowd at the Bristol night race, poor crowd at the Bristol day race. What's our solution there, and how would once a year at all tracks affect attendance in that way?
Boy, that's a really tough question. I want to go ahead and sling it to Aaron so I can think about what I want to say.
Yeah, right. Put him on the spot.
Oh, fun. Johnny on the spot here. I think when you look at the Bristol night race, and it's this way with a few of these races, the Bristol night race is one of the sport's marquee events. It's one that it stands on its own, and in my mind, I put it alongside the Brickyard and the Southern 500 and probably the Firecracker 400, maybe not the Daytona 500, but it's one of those major events in the sport that kind of carries its own weight and its own prestige, and I think that still draws people out.
Yep.
And one thing I note with the day race, that day race faces a lot of issues. Number one, it's ran really early in the year. They have all sorts of weather problems, it seems like, every year. I think it was rained out this spring. It's usually cold. We've had a snowball fight at that race before. It comes right in conjunction with two very similar races at other short tracks that are very nearby. When you look at Richmond and Martinsville, they're all right there in that little bread bowl, and they run pretty much back to back to back there in the spring. And they also face the general problem that all tracks that have two or more races are facing right now, which is that fans don't have a whole lot of money. I struggle to get to races sometimes, and I'm in the media center and get in the track for free.
Yeah.
If you're a fan who's buying tickets to these and having to get hotels especially or anything like that, it's a real tough sell to have to go to more than one race. And if I personally was going to go to more than one race as a fan, I wouldn't go to the same track twice. I would diversify. So I think they face all those issues. And then when it comes down to going to the race, if I'm only got one race and it's going to be at Bristol, which one are you going to go to? The night race in the cold spring, or this electric, or the day race in the cold spring? Or this like electric wild night race that's kind of carried this prestige all these years. And I don't think that's really much of a choice. And as for cutting the tracks down to one race, I think personally I would prefer that schedule. My ideal schedule would be to cut like 10 of these double races down to one race at a road course or two and a couple unique tracks and go, but I don't know that it's that simple. I know, and I don't know if this relates to it at all, but I can remember a couple years ago, I believe it was, somebody wrote a big, long Empire piece on North Wilkesboro, how the track came to be and how it closed, and one of the things they said was in the last few years it might have been, and I seem to recall mentioning in the last few years it was going to cut down to one event, and the track said it wouldn't have been sustainable. So for some of these tracks, and I don't know if this is true, but I get the vibe that with some of these tracks, if you cut them from 2 to 1 event, you might as well just take them off the schedule now because they might not be able to sustain it. And I think that's another thing that they're really fighting, and I don't really know what the answer might be for something like that.
So I'll make this easy, Sherwin, because my answer is a subset of what Aaron just said. And I was telling somebody, I know what it was. There was a story about one of the local NBC stations in D.C. that was preempting the Bristol race so that they could show the Redskins season ball game, right?
Ooh, that was rough.
And I said to somebody, I said, listen, as far as I'm concerned, for me at least, this is the premier event in NASCAR of the year. I don't go to the 500, and we talk about the 500. You know, I've got my issues with the 500.
The Daytona 500.
The Daytona 500.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the race we have coming up, you know, the Labor Day race at Darlington.
Oh, Darlington rules
the
all.
Southern 500 and all that. I mean, that is fantastic, but something about this race. Look, I've got goosebumps going just talking about how big that this race is, and for me, it is the premier race in NASCAR. And it was being preempted. But the point of all that is this is the premier race in NASCAR for me and maybe for a lot of other people. And so why does it have more attendance than the Bristol Day race? Because this one is the Bristol race. That one is the other race that they happen to run at this racetrack. So for me, that explains the difference in attendance. One race for everybody. I don't know. I really like going to 2 Bristols every year.
Yeah, we just started that, and it's probably going to continue for a long time. I think what I would say is that the night race was one of the first night races the series hosted. Mm-hmm. So it's like the original different thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the original. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to take criticism if that's not the case, but being a staple in the series for 30 years or close to it, as a night race when this event was typically an early afternoon, late morning type sport, I think adds all that extra, whatever you want to call it. Plus, it's Saturday night. You can go and you can still go home the next day, even if you live 12 hours away.
Yeah.
Not that many people are driving that way. I've got a whole segment we're going to do at some point. I don't know if I'm going to do it in the off season or in the fall when everybody's watching football, not caring about NASCAR, about what I think happened in NASCAR and probably call it 2008 to 2009 related to how much more expensive it got to travel. But, I mean, the night race carries with a prestige with it that the day race just does not. Mm-hmm. Just like Darlington carries with it a prestige that the Brickyard 400 does not. Mm-hmm. Like Darlington is Darlington.
Right.
Like if you want to put Indy, the Brickyard 400 in the crown jewel, like on the Mount Rushmore,
right?
It's last.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Nothing against Indiana there.
No,
Aaron.
Absolutely not. I already said, look, I make the race I most want to watch on the Sunday before Memorial Day is the Indy 500 because that is the best race of the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It has been for a while. So Frank Villat, good old Frank. Frank brings
the heat every time.
Strange was staying here this week.
Oh, yeah, he did kind of go a little bonkers.
He says, now I got to imagine, I hope that he and Chris Knight have a relationship here.
And I assume he knows that Aaron and Chris probably do too.
Right. So he says, hypothetical situation. You're leaving a track and have 3 options. 1, an 8-hour drive straight home. 2, sleeping in your vehicle. Or 3, sharing a hotel room with Chris Knight, but he has control of the thermostat. Which do you pick?
Well, I had a situation sort of arise with this, actually.
Okay.
This was 1 year ago. It was supposed to be the Bristol night race. It was supposed to be my first Bristol night race. And Mother Nature decided that I was very wrong in predicting that.
Yep.
And so we get through Saturday night. Yeah. And the only option I could really have in terms of sleeping in a normal house would have been to drive about 2 hours back to Knoxville to stay with my cousin.
Ooh.
And they were already in bed probably. I didn't want to bother them. So I resigned myself to the fact that I was going out in that Bristol parking lot. I was sleeping in my car until they told me to move. Then I was finding a truck stop and sleeping the rest of the time and coming back. And lo and behold, because it's no joke, he really is probably the nicest guy in the media center. Mr. Chris Knight comes up, offers me a chance to stay with him in his hotel. He was a hero for that, and it is as cold as they say it is. I will not lie. He keeps it pretty chilly, but I will tell you that a hotel room felt a whole lot better than a hot, humid car in the middle of Bristol, Tennessee's parking lot there. So I guess if I've really had to make this decision once before, it's been to stay with Skippy. But if any of y'all know me for who I am elsewise, if I have a chance to drive home, I do it. So I guess the real answer would be driving home, but I have chosen Skippy over sleeping in my car before.
So we saw Chris Knight again at the
Love
Tweet
Chris.
Up. Oh, Chris is awesome. He was fun to talk to as always. Sherwin, me and you have stayed in many a hotel room together. I do not know of a time, whether it's dead of winter or the hottest, muggiest summer, that we did not have the AC on full blast the entire time. And this little pop-up that we just had, by the way, he didn't give us no restriction on AC. We turned it on before we even, popped it up, right?
Coldest temp, highest fan blow.
Right. For 72 hours or whatever.
As soon as it started.
So I don't think there's an AC setting that I do not agree with.
Well, I can always get warmer as long as there's blankets and comforters and junk.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing.
So
you can't get colder if it's hot.
So as great a guy as Chris Knight is, and as crappy as an 8-hour drive is, and as crappy as sleeping in your vehicle is, I'm taking Nighter, man.
Absolutely.
Every day of the week. Pump that AC. I'm happy. Sherwin, you got some shout-outs for us. Talk to us.
Yeah, so we've interacted quite a bit with some other fan podcasts in this space, both over the mic and on the tweeter and the Bump and Run folks. There are 4 of them, and they sent 2 to Bristol. Tanner Brown, who we did get to meet, and Kayla Nicole, who we did not get to meet. And I wanted to give a very heartfelt condolences to her. She lost her grandfather on either Friday night or Saturday morning. She did not get to stay for the rest of the Bristol weekend. She did, however, get to fulfill a fandom-long dream of getting to meet Casey Kane. She ran into him randomly in the tunnel on Friday and got to meet him, so great for her on that. And then, I don't know if the funeral was yesterday or today for her grandfather, but they had to board up the house and pack up because she goes to school at University of Houston, Victoria, and they are directly in the damage path of Hurricane Harvey.
Oh, my gosh.
So they are currently relocating for the duration to avoid the storm.
Have you a week, ma'am?
No stuff.
All right.
Wow.
About got one out there.
Oh, so, yeah, shout out to those fellas, Bump and Run podcast. Great to have fans in this, or not fans, great to have friends is the word I'm looking
Friends
for.
and fans
Friends
who
in
are
this
doing
space.
podcasty stuff. I think they're all either one way or another huge NASCAR fans and or tied to wanting to be journalists or TV or whatever you want to call it.
Fun.
Media.
While we're shouting out other podcasts, man, what was it? On the way up, we were listening to My Opinion, Therefore Fact, our buddies across the pond. And they said they
made some kind of limey joke that I was like, I didn't know if we were allowed to say that or not, but it sounds like we are now.
And they said, these people are calling us limeys.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
They were calling Lee Diffie a limey.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, he's Australian.
Australian.
Like, what are you talking? And he was the best thing that happened to the road course / Pocono / Michigan late July, August TV broadcast on NBC. He was awesome.
Our limey friends across the pond.
Our limey friends over there.
Oh, man.
One's kind of speaking the King's English. One's a little Cockney.
We won't say which one. So the funny part is y'all got to listen to them. Just the verbiage sometimes will make you laugh out loud.
Stuff. What was it? Nick the Pace car?
It was Nick the Pace. They told the whole story about the fella at what was it, Talladega or whatever it was, that stole the pace car and ran 3 laps, and then it calmed down for a second. He goes, and that dude nicked the pace car.
How do you nick the pace car?
Yeah. So, oh my goodness, we all both drove off the road with a trailer in tow.
We were
somewhere
coming
between
down the mountain.
Yeah,
too,
somewhere
so
between Asheville
heavy braking zone.
Having a blast. So be sure to give those folks a listen. And let's do some collab casts sometime. This will be fun.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna do that.
Yeah. So with that, Sherwin, it's time to gas it up. I'm just making noises while I find our find. There it is. Finding our.
Well, this is like the
effect.
gassing it up because we're gonna obviously have a show next week.
Sure.
But why not talk about
Lady in Black?
Darlington?
Oh, you know what? Before we do that, we have. Whoa, come back, mouse, because this stupid computer.
Technology.
Yeah, right. Find this thing.
So I can talk real quick. What do you think about Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather? Any comments on that, Aaron?
I'll be happy when it's over.
Are you MMA? Are you an MMA fan or boxing or either one?
I grew up watching boxing with my dad. Got some guys like Lennox Lewis and them throw it down.
Ooh.
So I saw a fair bit of money when he was a young one, but I've kind of given up on it just because sometimes the officiating I'm more talking the judges and the scorecards so much than the referee in the ring. I feel like some of those scores don't come out clean, and I've seen a few things I don't care for. But man, I don't even know. I'm not going to waste my money on the pay-per-view. I'm just going to assume that Mayweather dominates until I'm proven otherwise, and see otherwise on Twitter. And given how the last weekend went, I halfway expect Kyle Busch to run in, knock them both out, and then bow. So we'll see. I'm Team Rowdy if that's the case. Maybe that could be his hero turn.
I like it. Hashtag. I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
All right.
Sherwin, I found what I was looking for.
Okay, sweet.
Here it is. Ready? Oh, that's somebody on the PETM podcast called the winner of the race Foghorn. And I picked Kyle Busch for that race. Love me, hate me, whatever. When I get a chance to play the horn, I'm gonna play the damn horn.
That's 2 weeks in a row, right?
Is it? You got the horn last week, right?
I think so.
Did you? Did we play it?
Oh.
I can't remember if we played
what was
it. Here, you know what? There you go. There's your horn.
No, I wasn't asking for
ago.
a horn. I'm pretty sure that when I won, I called Truex wherever the last place he won at was.
Okay. Yep.
Maybe that was 2 weeks ago. Hell, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
But guessing up, Lady in Black.
All right, so Aaron,
yes,
are you going to be at Darlington?
I am very much not looking forward to the drive, but
That's
yes,
like 74
I will
hours,
indeed.
right?
I'll be making my first trip to the Carolinas as a NASCAR fan. I can't believe it took me 24 years, but yeah, I'll be at Darlington next weekend.
And
so
at the Tweet Up,
we'll see you in all the normal places.
Yes, if you find a guy who's injecting coffee into his veins,
okay,
that'll be me over at the back of the Tweet Up, kind of hiding.
You're going to be mainlining coffee, so you won't be in the heroin section. You'll be in the coffee section.
I was going to say, is that what kids call heroin these days? These 24-year-old kids, they call it
French press.
Oh man, Cove Thief or something. No, yeah, I'll be drinking a fair amount of coffee.
Nice
this coming weekend because I've got a long drive through the night to get there, but I'm excited for it. I've never been to Darlington before, and the only race that's ever given me those chills the way I always love it's the Indy 500 every year, and I have a feeling this is going to be race number 2 to do it, so I'm really looking forward to it.
No doubt.
I would bet a Lincoln on that for sure. Maybe even a Jackson. It's such a cool place. You get a very different feel, and obviously we're going to talk more about that next week, and that's fine. But very much looking forward to seeing you there. Already confirmed Kelly Crandall's going to be there. Can't wait to see her again.
Good. Yeah. It's been a while.
She's a huge wrestling fan too, by the way, Aaron. If you hadn't had a chance to run into her, you should.
She's had to put up with me a few times in the past. No, don't you worry. I'm trying to get her to get me a fidget spinner right now.
All right, cool.
Love it.
As much as I've made fun of that thing, that's still funny.
I think I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or elsewhere, but I had hinted at Sherwin bought us some throwback T-shirts. I think I did say it on the podcast.
You may have.
Where I don't know, or I know that Sherwin didn't know at the time when he bought mine that when I was a kid, this was my guy. And I wasn't like a NASCAR fan, but I knew he was a driver and he was my guy. And how's this guy doing and everything? So we'll preview that shirt. He bought the shirts not knowing that like old school Rusty here, that was my thing. Oh, look at this. He's got the Bristol fidget spinner. Right.
Oh, goodness gracious.
You know what? I might need me one of them.
How in the hell did you get it to go that fast? The dude at the gas station, every time I go buy Copenhagen's been trying to get me to buy one. Oh.
I never did buy one. I get to Bristol and they were giving them to us, and about halfway through the race, I'm sitting there during the end of stage 2, and I'm like, dang it. I busted the thing out and started doing this. I only hate myself a little bit for it.
You know what? That's if you're gonna go fidget spinner, you got to go all in. That one's y'all. It has. If you're not seeing it on the YouTube or anything, it's light up. It like says Bristol across it while it's spinning. It's crazy.
Nuts bought us those little fans that did that with like Georgia Tech on
Yeah.
it. I still got that thing somewhere.
Those things for real.
Cool. Somewhere.
I don't know, Sherman. What are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
This weekend? Well, hell,
well, not this weekend. Sorry.
Well, I mean, we can talk about Road America.
Let's do it.
I love that race.
Yeah.
They shortened it, by the way, by like 5 laps, I think.
Is that right?
It's like 10, 10, 25, so it's only 45 laps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Road America, go
Brendan
for it.
Gaughan. I'm all in on some Brendan Gaughan. If it rains, they said it's supposed to, like, 85,000% chance it's going to rain. So we're going to see rain tires. And that's a Sunday race, by the way, so nobody has to worry about messing up their Saturday. It's a Sunday afternoon. Awesome. Which I think some people are mad because it's, like, right at the same time as the Indy race. Does that ring a bell with you, Aaron? I'm not a super schedule hunter.
What did you say? What did you say? I'm fading a little bit here.
Uh-oh. We're starting to lose. No, what I said was I think the Xfinity race is at the same time as the Indy race. Is that true?
If it's typical racing, I'm sure they'll find a way to do it, so probably. But I think you might be right on that because Indy is Sunday afternoon, and I'm pretty sure Road America is the same time. So you're probably right on the money.
Yeah.
We need the double TV setup. We'll watch them both.
Yeah, you need the Bachelor setup like I've got, or the man who's been able to convince his wife that 2 TVs is awesome.
She's like the biggest proponent of having 2 TVs in the house or in the living room or whatever.
Except when they're both on racing.
Well, there's that.
But that does mean Rusty gets to watch racing while his wife plays video games, so that is kind of a win-win.
Oh, yeah, huge deal. It's fantastic. That's a marriage saver, y'all. You
while
want
she's
marriage
watching
advice?
rated R Harry Potter, you can play video games.
Right.
Or watch a football game.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, if you want marriage advice, 2 TVs, and you'll never argue. It's unbelievable. Sherwin, so Lady in Black, what are you looking forward to?
Talking about it on Tuesday.
Yeah, talking about it. We'll obviously do another podcast coming up on it, but man,
you know what I think? Here's what I want to say about Lady in Black, because I thought what Fox Sports 1 and their Race Hub show did yesterday was exactly what NASCAR needs in terms of developing diversity. They had a all women in wheels show where every expose was about a female in racing. Mm-hmm. The whole panel, except for the normal Adam Alexander as the co-host, was there. It was really cool. They had a female tire specialist from Hendrick Motorsports. They had a female driver from Diversity Program. They had the Mexican-American female who is the GM VP of competition. Like she's like the racing guru of General Motors. They had Kelly Earnhardt. They would have had Caitlin Vincey, but she had her baby 2 days ago or whatever. So, like, I thought it was cool. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was caged. I didn't think it was exaggerated. I thought it was, women love racing. We see it every time we go to the racetrack. You don't look around and go, oh, there's only dudes here. No, there's women everywhere.
Absolutely.
And so they need to have a representation in the media as well. And I thought what they did was absolutely awesome.
Yeah. And you say that, and it's funny. The folks who are here every week, Ashley's here every week, Lori's here every week.
Everybody that's live,
Julia's here every week.
3 is women.
And it's fantastic. Yeah, it was surprising to me at first, and then it has become such a staple you don't notice anymore. And you just notice NASCAR fans that are here to hang out, and that's been really fun. So we got college football lurking.
We do. Right around the corner.
Yeah, any college football allegiances, Aaron?
Division II tonight.
Oh, boy. Y'all are going to hate me if I say it. Are you sure you want me to?
Hate's not the right word.
I would like to hear it.
But we're welcome to it.
I'll give y'all a little guess. If y'all can't tell, my accent's a little off for an Indiana boy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, unless you were from North Kentucky over there, Evansville.
We're a little further north than that. I'm north of Indy, but my accent comes from my dad's side of the family, which are all from the state of Alabama.
Okay.
So I was raised a true Crimson Tide fan. I rooted for them my whole life.
I've been waiting all show to drop that on you.
I've been waiting to drop that one a little bit.
Oh, baby.
I hope you like Key and Peele. If not, sorry.
Oh, Lord.
I'm sure you've heard that enough. But I was looking for the right time to drop it. You drop an SEC school on us, we'll do that. You know what? I thought you were going to say they're all from Athens, Georgia, and then we were going to have to hang up the phone.
That was going to be a problem.
Yeah, there was going to be issues. But if you're going Crimson, I'm can't hate you for the allegiance.
Yeah, it's rough. I get it a lot up here because I'm from northern Indiana, and it was all well and good until 2012 when Notre Dame has this little year they think is their dream year and their destiny year, and Destiny got punched in the face a few times by a couple rambling Crimson Tide players there. But ever since then, it's been rougher to be a Bama fan around here. But other than that, it's been kind of fun. I can kind of just joke around with Big Ten peeps.
So
So I don't know what you had to say. Will
I was
you
gonna
remember
say,
it if I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the funny things about that, Aaron, is that we were in Charlotte for an ACC championship game we had no business being there for, which is why we went. Because, like, Miami and North Carolina got disqualified because they were cheating-ass cheaters. And so we were there, but we were watching the end of the Georgia-Alabama SEC championship game. And, of course, Georgian folks will always talk about how the catch and the drop or the tip or the whatever, that we were 2 yards away or whatever. But the reality is we'd be having to worry about these jokers rubbing in our face that they'd won a national championship if they had to beat Alabama, because they were going to beat Notre Dame by the same amount that Alabama did that year.
Yeah, for sure. So, I can deal with that. I'm fine with that. But had to throw the Key and Peele thing in there. And matter of fact, Alabama's playing right there in the Arthur Dome. I think a day or
Florida State too.
Yeah, playing Florida State. Right before Georgia Tech plays on Monday. We're gonna haul Patootie back.
So we have to get up like arguably we probably should be up by 7 on the road by 8. 5 hours puts us back in the Atlanta area by 2.
Yeah.
In order to appropriately tailgate what should be one of the most awesome games in recent history.
Sure.
Get to open on a Monday night with no TV competition, a nationally televised game against the University of Tennessee. They'll all be prepared to go pheasant or dove hunting the next day with their Hunter Orange. I'm sure I'm going to catch an undue ration of
Bill Dance is going to be doing his
Hey, you know
thing.
what? The funniest thing you'll ever watch in your life is a Bill Dance blooper reel, and he always has a Tennessee hat on.
Oh, a Billboard Tennessee trucker hat.
So that gives me a chance to do a shout-out. Wally Action, pretty much the coolest person on the internet. Nicest guy you'll ever see. At Wally Action, he's a Tennessee guy. I have reached out to him. I very much hope that we get a run into him. I don't know if he has decided whether or not he's attending. If he is, I'm going to hug that guy.
Absolutely.
Because that's a great dude.
Absolutely. That brings us to the end here. Strange with Stang, dude.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go.
Okay, Strange with Stang.
So if you didn't think we were in the ditch yet, we're fixing to find the ditch.
Right.
Hopefully we'll stay off the guardrail.
Yeah.
Try.
Ashley this week asked, and I think this one's directed right at you.
This is really a question for you. We can't answer this.
Right. And let me say this. You can answer part 1. You're not obligated, obviously, to answer part 2 of this.
You don't have to name names.
He's putting on the fun glasses. This is like glasses number 2 here.
Are
those like the IR glasses or something? Like, which one?
One of those. That thing on the left is doing something.
Yeah.
These are Snapchat spectacles. I am recording a 360 video of me talking to y'all right now.
Oh, sweet.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
I
it.
suck at Snapchat, but that's cool. I can't wait to see what that is.
So Ashley asks, what's the dumbest question or dumbest thing you've ever heard or heard of being asked in the media center? And then part 2 is who asked it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to answer part 2. If you can recall something or one of the weirdest things or craziest things that happened.
We've got some filler from this from a
in the
question
media
answer session, but it wasn't media. But go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I'll tell you all, for one, I've kind of made my name by being nice to everybody, going about my own thing and not worrying about it. So I tend to forget a lot of them. So I can't really think of one off the top of my head. The one thing I will tell you is we've had a few media peeps in the past come in And the
Quote
driver
fingers.
will come in, do their press conference, do their thing, and then when they're going to walk out, one of these people will go up and ask him for autographs in the media center. I won't name any of them because I don't know most of them because I usually don't see them again after that. But
Right.
that, in terms of the dumbest thing you can do for your own career, it's probably asking for autographs in the press conference room there.
That's
I've heard that from a lot of different areas.
That's so weird because if I'm in the media center, you know, we've been up there for just the Thursday Night Thunder, but like, how inappropriate would it? That's weird. How out of touch do you have to be, or just knowing that this is your one shot to meet this person, and why not just go for it? And you know, to hell with being kicked out of this thing forever. But
perhaps
I like that.
I don't know. So this is where we're at with it, Aaron. I know, Bobby Allison was at the Tweet Up at Bristol this year. He was also there, I want to say, 3 or 4 years ago.
I was going to say 2, and then I was going to be wrong because anything I remember in the past is always double the number of years.
Yeah,
so
time has a way of doing that. But the whole point of the reference is that I had got in line to, shake Bobby Allison's hand or get his autograph or whatever it was. But I didn't give a damn about any of that. I wanted to shake his hand. So, like, Rusty's kind of like, I don't even think I had a smartphone at this point, but you did or something like that. So this had to have been, it maybe even have been 5 years ago or 6. Crazy as that sounds. And, like, Rusty's trying to, like, cue his thing up to take a picture, and I've already shaken, Bobby Allison's hand and said, thank you. I really, all that stuff, like, a 2-sentence thing. And I'm like, woo, hands up in the air, field goal's good. And Rusty's like, I didn't even get the picture, man. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'll remember that the rest of my life.
Yeah. No, and that was after I went and shook his hand as well. So that's foreign to me to really. I guess there's something about asking for an autograph that I'm not very good at. So I've either justified in my mind that I don't need it, or I truly don't really care.
Well, there's almost no eye contact being made when you're asking for an autograph.
Yeah. We talked to it with Carlton about that, and Carlton listening now. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I saw Carlton there all night, man. Glad to have you back, brother.
Yeah,
good to see you at Bristol.
Good to see you at Bristol, man. Awesome times. With that, Aaron, why don't you close us out? It's time to wrap this thing up. We've had a blast having you on and everything. Thank you for being on. Be sure to follow Aaron. He'll give you his Twitter handle once again here in a moment.
And lucky for him, all his stuff is the same, so you hadn't got to remember but one
That's right.
deal.
That's right. Close us out, Aaron.
Right.
What's up?
All right, so y'all, it's pretty simple. You can follow me on pretty much everything at Aaron Bearden 93. It is 93 because some real estate salesman has the just Aaron Bearden everywhere, and I tried my heart out and couldn't get him to give it to me. So I've given up on that. I've gone with the birth years, so everyone know how old I am. There you go. That's the story behind the handle. But you can find my stuff on Kicking the Tires. Every now and then I'll freelance elsewhere. WroteForJeffGluck.com. Didn't even get a hat out of it, but I do what I can.
That was strong. That's a joke, y'all. Run this back. Listen to that again. That's a joke.
Back it up, y'all. Back it up. No, I don't know, man. Snapchat, Instagram, all that stuff. I'm more interested in y'all coming out and seeing me somewhere. I really love meeting you guys because I went, 20 years, didn't have a single friend in racing. Now I feel like I have a whole family, y'all. So to kind of get on the road for a minute, thank y'all for everything. I appreciate it so much. And guys, thanks for having me on. I had a blast.
Awesome. Well, y'all,
We enjoyed it, too.
to close this thing out, I forgot it at the beginning, so y'all listen up.
Here's our commercial.
Podcast.
Aaron, stay on the line.
This podcast is brought to you by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PETM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie. Best part is every cent in 2017, we're donating to sponsoring drivers. Join the PTM posse. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show was brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. Y'all get mesmerized by that what is that fidget spinner he's got going with the Bristol thing. It's Catherine Kingston, Ashley Stang, and by the way, Catherine Kingston, we're gonna have to tell that story a little later. Yeah, we'll tell it next week. Catherine Kingston, Ashley Stang, Harry Balzania, Mark Wiley, Craig Smulders, Lori Sutton, Mick Rose, Robert Kepner, Tony Salt, Kobe McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Marion Levesque, Patrick Cleary, and Jeff Brown. Thank you all. You know where to find us online, PTMpodcast.com, on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else at PTM Podcast. As always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor Sherwin.
And I am the pregame engineer at pregame engineer. Spell it all the way out. Andrew Sherwin. Love doing this for y'all. Love your interaction. Thank you very much to Aaron for joining us tonight.
We're going to talk to y'all next week.
We are NASCAR. We are NASCAR. We are NASCAR. We are NASCAR.
Awesome.
We don't want to play that very much.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you don't
all
get
the way
deep
out.
in it very often.
Man, that fidget spinner is actually, I mean, that's pretty killer. I'm digging that as like a,
I might have to stop shitting all over fidget spinners.
oh,
Dude,
man.
I did it all year, and then I got this thing, and I'm like, God. you just know you're gonna sit there like a fool and play with it. They even got the branding. We got that on one side.
Bass
We
Pro
got
on the one side and
City
Food
on the
City
other.
Oh, man. That thing's for real. Now, was that like the media center present or something? What's the deal there?
Yeah, every now and then when you show up in the media center, they give you junk. I
Junk.
usually either give it to like my niece and nephew, or I'll find some fan and give it to them or something. But
Now that's
this one, I forgot to give this one to somebody, so I might have to bring her to Darlington and let somebody get blessed with a fidget spinner here.
Is it an electromagnet? Like, is it a perpetual electricity machine, or do you have to, like, is there a battery that's going to die if you don't, like, play with it enough?
I do not know, honestly.
He hadn't broken it apart.
There's probably a speed at which it operates, and then it's electromagnetic, I would imagine.
All right, y'all, for anybody still watching.
There's a battery in that thing.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
in there.
For sure.
Yeah.
For anybody still watching on the YouTube, thank you so much for joining. We're going to cut this thing off and do our thing. It'll be up on the, what do you call it? On the iTunes
all
and
of the
stuff.
places.
All the places.
Ship it. Jeffrey says ship it.
Ship
I
it.
think you're right.
It's going to be
We're
done.
going to ship the show right over to iTunes, Google Play, Pocket Cast, YouTube On Demand, Podbean,
etc.
If you Google it,
there.
you'll find all sorts of
Ain't no
other weird
doubt
places that it
about
is,
that.
too.
Ain't no doubt. All right. Talk to y'all.